A Russian warship has slipped beneath the Black Sea, and the shockwaves are reaching far beyond the battlefield. Fuel stations across Russia become scenes of panic, violence, and empty pumps. Ukraine's drone campaign tears deeper into the Kremlin's war machine. This war is no longer just destroying armies. It's beginning to disrupt everyday life inside Russia itself. Fuel queues have turned to fistfights across Russia, and now the Kremlin has lost a warship too. The 205-foot ship went down on July 14th, hit by a new naval drone known as the Sargon 3000. Ukrainian officials confirmed casualties and injuries among the crew, and satellite imagery showed the vessel partially submerged against the harbour wall. The Emerald was no stranger to conflict. Back in 2018, its crew seized 3 Ukrainian naval vessels in the Kerch Strait, ramming the tug Yani Karpu and taking 24 sailors hostage. Its sinking now carries the weight of old scores. Ukraine, on their part, have decided to invest more in drones, which have helped them achieve the unthinkable at times in the ongoing war.
And today I am glad to announce a new disbursement of another €1 billion for drones, specifically. But of course, more is to come, because we have just approved a €10 billion disbursement plan for more drones, for missiles and fighter aircraft. So as I said, this is really just the beginning.
The strike lands amid a fuel crisis tearing through Russia as Ukrainian drone attacks knock out refineries and depots one after another. Petrol pumps are running dry and desperation is spilling into violence at the forecourts. In one incident, a driver accused a woman of jumping a queue after she was redirected by station staff. He smashed her car window and struck her twice, leaving her with cuts, bruises, and a concussion. When police arrived, he pointed to his own bloodied hand as evidence he was the victim.
My mother then lowered the window slightly and sprayed pepper spray into the air without aiming it at his eyes. In response, the man smashed the driver's window with his fists and punched her twice.
Elsewhere in Perm, a queue dispute ended with a gunshot. 2 men came to blows, fell to the ground, and a shot rang out, terrifying onlookers. Remarkably, neither man was hurt, and the argument carried on regardless. Drivers are now said to be arming themselves with knives before joining the queues. Buying bans have spread nationwide as supply dwindles. The knock-on effects reach beyond the forecourt. Exports of sanctioned fuel have stalled, cutting into Kremlin revenue, while one report described the fallout as catastrophic. Farmers are feeling it too, with shortages of fuel for combine harvesters striking hardest in Russia's southern regions, just as the harvest season demands them most. Ukraine has launched one of its largest coordinated strikes against Russia's maritime logistics network, targeting dozens of vessels supporting Moscow's war effort and sanctioned oil trade in the Sea of Azov and near-occupied Crimea. According to the Ukrainian General Staff, Ukrainian defense forces struck 21 Russian oil tankers, 4 tugboats, 2 dry cargo ships, and 1 dredger in an operation aimed at weakening Russia's military and economic capabilities.
The goal of the operation was to degrade the military-economic potential of the Russian aggressor. Thus, 21 tankers of the Russian Federation were hit. The tankers are used to transport oil and petroleum products, bypassing international sanctions, and providing funds to finance the armed aggression against Ukraine.
The Ukrainian General Staff added that the operation also targeted Russia's military logistics network.
Also hit were 4 tugboats, 2 dry cargo ships, and a dredger, which are used by the enemy to provide military logistics, transport cargo, and support the operation of port infrastructure.
Ukrainian officials said the full extent of the damage is still being assessed. The strikes reportedly forced Russia to suspend commercial navigation through the Kerch Strait and the Don Azov Canal. Reuters reported, citing sources, that Russia's border guard service temporarily stopped accepting transit applications from shipping companies, disrupting a vital trade corridor linking the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov. The closure is significant because the Azov Sea handles up to 25% of Russia's wheat exports, raising concerns over global grain supplies. Meanwhile, Rostov Governor Yuri Slyusar said drones targeted 4 vessels in the Gulf of Taganrog, including a tanker carrying methanol.
The drones attacked 4 vessels in the Gulf of Taganrog early on the morning of July 11th, including a tanker transporting methanol. The targeted ship sustained only minor damage and asserted there was no threat of chemical leaks. Russian air defenses intercepted over 15 uncrewed aerial vehicles targeting the Taganrog area, as well as the Azovsky and Neklinovsky districts.
The latest operation follows another wave of Ukrainian maritime strikes. On July 10th, Unmanned Systems Forces Commander Robert Madyar Brovdy said Ukrainian drones struck 13 Russian vessels near occupied Crimea, including 10 sanctioned Shadow Fleet tankers, 1 dry cargo ship, 1 ferry, and 1 sea tug.
I have a dilemma. When sending a tanker to Crimea, is the worm building up courage or stupidity? Ukrainian forces struck 5 electrical substations in occupied Crimea overnight as part of the Crimean switch-off project.
The latest attacks reportedly brought the total number of vessels struck by drones of the Unmanned Systems Forces to 48 over the past 120 hours. Ukraine's long-range drone campaign is doing something that months of frontline fighting could not. It is bringing the war home to ordinary Russians. Now, according to Czech President Petr Pavel, Russia could launch a major new military mobilization within months as mounting battlefield and economic pressure forces the Kremlin to replenish its forces. The former NATO general warned that the period immediately after Russia's parliamentary elections on September 20th could become a decisive moment in the war, with President Vladimir Putin potentially free to announce a fresh mobilization without the political risks of doing so before the vote. Pavel said Ukraine and its allies have only a limited window to push Moscow towards negotiations before Russia could escalate the conflict.
President Putin will hardly declare mobilization before, but once the elections are over, the window will shrink. I believe that the window is there for us to keep pushing and giving Russia a clear message that we are willing to start negotiations. Russia has a lot of internal problems and challenges at this point. The Russian public is turning increasingly against the war.
The warning comes as Ukraine intensifies long-range drone attacks on Russia's energy infrastructure. Pavel argued that those strikes are creating growing domestic pressure on the Kremlin. Ukraine says its expanding drone campaign is intended to weaken Russia's war machine by targeting refineries, fuel depots, and military infrastructure far behind the front lines. Russia processed an average of just 4.1 million barrels of oil per day in June, according to an analysis cited by the Financial Times, a figure 28% below the 5-year average and 35% below nominal capacity. 10 of the country's largest refineries have been struck, including the Omsk facility some 2,500 kilometers from the front line, which alone accounts for roughly 7% of national refining capacity. President Volodymyr Zelensky said recent strikes demonstrated that no part of Russia is beyond Kyiv's reach.
Our warriors are carrying out the long-range sanctions plan in response to Russia, dragging out the war and continuing its attacks. Recent days saw important successful strikes on facilities supporting Russia's oil sector and sustaining its war policy. SSU warriors struck 2 oil depots, one in Stavropol and the other in Tver. Both are about 500 kilometers from the front line. Units of Ukraine's defense forces also struck a reserve fuel storage facility, located about 800 kilometers from the front. An oil pumping station in Russia's Ufa, nearly 1,500 kilometers from our border, also came under sanctions. An oil loading terminal in the Rostov region, about 200 kilometers from the front line, was sanctioned as well. I thank all our warriors who make results like these possible every single day. We offered Russia a way to end this war long ago, and every day it chooses to prolong it should bring the reality of war back to where it began, to Russia.
The fuel crisis is now affecting around 50 million Russians. Long queues have formed outside petrol stations. Fights have broken out at the pumps. Crimea is under a state of emergency, with fuel distributed through electronic vouchers. Military analysts say the growing drone campaign is placing increasing strain on Russia's air defenses. Institute for the Study of War analyst Katerina Stepanenko said Moscow is struggling to protect critical infrastructure across its vast territory.
Russian air defenses are stretched thin, and there's not enough manpower to operate them. Ukrainian mid-range and long-range strikes are eliminating the gap, the time that Putin had thought he had to make some serious decisions.
The latest warnings also come amid heightened concern across NATO's eastern flank. Recent reports citing Polish and Allied security sources suggest Western intelligence is monitoring the possibility of future Russian provocations near NATO territory, although no attack has been confirmed. While there is no public evidence that the Kremlin has decided to launch a new mobilization, European leaders increasingly believe the months following Russia's September elections could prove critical for both the war in Ukraine and wider European security.